Welcome back, everyone, to the High Tempo Sports Podcast, episode 87. This is the second time we are filming episode 87. We did an episode on Saturday, and it was like an NFL episode. We did our top 20 wide receivers in the NFL. We did 3 wide receivers that we expect to break out this season, and it just like disappeared in our files. So
the whole thing.
Which is very unfortunate, but we will be putting our wide receiver list and the 3 breakout wide receivers on our TikTok. So go check out our TikTok if you're interested in seeing the wide receiver list at High Tempo Podcast. Because we're not just going to redo the whole episode, it's just kind of
takes away the whole fun of us.
Yeah, we know each other's lists and everything, so there's really no point in redoing everything. And that was pretty much all we talked about anyways. We just talked a little bit, small NBA talk afterwards. So yeah, today's Wednesday though, and it is like the first Wednesday that is not a nice day out today. It is a lot colder than it has been.
I was actually delivering stuff, and there was snow where I was driving.
In the morning there was a little bit of snow, yeah.
And what? Are you kidding me? We were in like 70-degree weather a week ago. Back to snow. Gotta love Michigan.
Oh yeah, it's best state ever. But let's just hop right into the news. Excuse me. First thing, very sad, disappointing news. Denver Nuggets point guard Jamal Murray tore his ACL in the final minutes of their game the other night, and he obviously is going to miss the rest of the season and playoffs, which is just super disappointing for the Nuggets. It's a team that has been rolling ever since the trade deadline. With the Lakers kind of having their injury problems, they're looking to take advantage and get higher up in the standings. And Jamal Murray, broke out in the playoffs last year. We were seeing if he could do it again this year. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see that.
Yeah, it's a really hard thing to watch just because I think most people are fans of the Nuggets. I don't know many people that dislike the Nuggets team. So I think this is kind of hitting the NBA world hard, just seeing one of the best players and one of the best teams in the league go down, and especially when they were just starting to turn it around. Getting Aaron Gordon was a huge move for them, and it was clearly working out perfectly. And seemed like a genius move, but now it looks like they're gonna need. I mean, they can't do anything. They can't go out and do anything. So it's really tough because you're gonna see a guy like Monte Morris really have to step up into that starting guard spot.
Yeah, and it just sucks for the Nuggets. Feeling for Nuggets fans right now because I mean that would just.
I couldn't imagine if that was my Pistons.
Exactly, it would really suck. Next on the news, some NFL news. James Conner signs with the Arizona Cardinals yesterday to join Chase Edmonds in their backfield this upcoming season. Interested to see how much he'll be used this year just because he really, he isn't, not super good, I guess, but I feel like he'll probably be the backup guy, maybe get 8 to 10 touches a game, something like that. And then Jadeveon Clowney today signed a 1-year, $10 million contract with the Cleveland Browns, adding to their active defensive offseason that they've had. So he'll be a nice guy to match up next to Myles Garrett.
Yeah, that is a pretty deadly end combo off the edge. That's a pretty good edge rush with Jadeveon and Myles Garrett. I'm really excited to actually see the Browns next year, which is not something I say most years.
Nothing most people don't say. So let's get into the first topic of the day. First is the Detroit Tigers. They've won 2 straight games. They're now 5-6. And their standout rookie, Akil Baddoo, hit his 4th home run last night. He has a .391 batting average so far this season. Super fun to watch a young Tigers player really, kind of just come out of nowhere and do really good.
Yeah, and this is awesome. We were sitting there last night, and Barry Hill, right as we were sitting there, goes and buys a jersey after one of his home runs. Yep. Had to get his Baddoo jersey. But it's nice to know that we can talk about something good about the Tigers.
Oh, yeah.
There's something I can now follow all year with the Tigers, and that's Baddoo.
Yeah.
And I really hope he keeps it up because baseball's a game of runs and slumps and good hitting weeks and bad hitting weeks.
Yeah, he definitely could end up shitting the rest of the year.
Yeah, he could bat 200 the rest of the year.
Which, obviously I hope he doesn't, but it's very possible. But yeah, he's off to a great start, which is really good to see. And then Wilson Ramos, Tigers catcher, he now has 6 home runs on the year after he homered twice in last night's game, which is tied for first in the MLB right now with most homers. So that's really good to see. Casey Mize got his first win with the Tigers the other day, throwing 7 scoreless innings. I mean, it's the Tigers they're I enjoy watching them.
Yeah, they're watchable.
Yeah, they're watchable.
When I'm over and it's on, I'm paying attention. I'm pretty invested into it, which is nice because I haven't done that in 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, just a little Tigers talk there. We don't know, ever
That
enough
much.
to go in depth about each player and everything. But yeah. Let's talk about the NFL draft. The NFL draft is coming up. It is 2 weeks from tomorrow. What's today? The 14th? Today's the 14th, right? Yeah. 2 weeks from tomorrow is the NFL draft. Like I said, we're gonna be doing our second mock draft here at some point. Maybe the Wednesday before, honestly.
Yeah,
Maybe 2 weeks from
it's a
today.
pretty good idea.
But a few mock drafts recently, updated mock drafts recently just came out. But before we talk about those, I do want to talk about one thing. And that is the third overall pick. That is, we have Trevor Lawrence is for sure going to be the number 1 overall pick after the Jets traded away Sam Darnold. And, Zach Wilson is clearly their guy. He's going to go number 2. And then number 3 is really just like, it's ever since San Francisco traded up, at first it was like, okay, they're going to take Justin Fields. And then it was like, maybe they go Trey Lance. And then now it's Mac Jones. So, like, let's just say, like, this doesn't have to do with the San Francisco 49ers, just of pure talent. Who do you think is the best or the third best quarterback in this class, assuming that, Lawrence and Wilson are your 1 and 2?
Pure talent-wise, or
at least
tough.
who will be the best? I mean, who do you
Out of
think?
those 3.
Yeah.
I think if you put a guy like Trey Lance in a really good system, he can play really well. His arm talent, when I was watching him on his pro day, I went through and I was watching these guys' pro days. He misses a lot of balls.
Mm-hmm.
He is not the best ball thrower, but apparently coaches love his mind. They love how he picks up defenses, picks up blitzes, and picks up rushes really well.
And he does have a good arm at least. Like
he does. He
probably
throws
has
it.
the best arm in this class as far as throwing the ball deep and but
launching it.
Yeah.
And Mac Jones just seems like the smartest decision maker out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then Justin Fields is just a freak. I mean, he's so fast, good arm talent, but the history of Ohio State quarterbacks isn't good in recent years. So that's where the fear comes in. But if I am at that third pick, not talking about my team in any way, and I pick the third best quarterback in the draft, I'm probably going Trey Lance. You can work on the accuracy with an NFL quarterback coach. He can throw the ball far. He's mobile. And if he can read a defense, that's a lot. Patrick Mahomes said he couldn't read a defense till his 3rd year in the NFL, which is crazy because he already
won an MVP in a second.
already had an MVP here, and he couldn't read defenses. So I think I would go with Trey Lance. Fit, I don't know about the 49ers. I don't know what team I'd want him on.
I completely agree. I think that with, the fit-wise, I don't think the 49ers go with him. But I think Trey Lance is third best quarterback as well. The only problem with Trey Lance is that he just does not he hasn't been seen enough. I mean, he's really only played one real season of college football, and he's and playing in D2, so it's not, or FCS. So like he has not just gotten recognition like Mac Jones and Justin Fields, where they are a complete opposite. They were 2 guys that probably got the most recognition in college football other than Trevor Lawrence last year. But yeah, Trey Lance I think his body type is great just because he's a big quarterback that is super, like you said, he's super mobile. He is definitely like the most mobile quarterback in this draft. He does have a powerful arm. Like you said, the accuracy is probably just what his issue is, but that can easily be fixed. Mac Jones, though, definitely is the best decision maker, and he will make the smart play every time, but he's not really going to do anything special. I like Mac Jones. I don't think Mac Jones is going to be a bust or anything. It's a lot easier, at least for me, to say a guy is going to be a boom rather than a bust. It's hard to say that guy's going to suck. It's just, I don't know. It's hard to say that, but Mac Jones, it's weird that, the Niners traded up and want to get a guy like Mac Jones who's very similar to Jimmy Garoppolo, but who knows? I mean, I think Trey Lance is the third best quarterback. I agree with you. For the 49ers' sake, though, I would probably draft Justin Fields, but I really don't know. It's tough.
The thing about drafting Mac Jones and deciding he's going to be your guy for the next few years, it's tough to blame anything on your quarterback from that point because you picked the guy who can't do as much as the other guys. Mac Jones will stand in there in the pocket and he'll make the right decisions. But now you also have to blame everything around him if things go bad.
Yeah.
Because you are setting yourself up to only be successful if all the other pieces are very good. You know, a good run game, a really good passing offense where you got good wide receivers, short and deep routes, and give him a lot of options to make decisions. Whereas if you draft a guy like Justin Fields and we figure out his decision-making is awful, maybe he's injury prone, blah, 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 you can blame the quarterback. If you're picking Mac Jones, I think you pick a guy who it's very tough to blame because you already know what you're getting from him.
And that's, I mean, if Mac Jones does get drafted by the 49ers, it kind of makes sense just because he is going into a situation where he is surrounded by, he's surrounded by a great defense. He has a great run game and a pretty good offensive line. His weapons, I mean, his wide receiver core isn't like insane, but he obviously has George Kittle, one of, if not the best tight ends in the NFL. And yeah, he's definitely going to be going into a better situation than Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson would be. But, still, I mean, this doesn't mean he's better, but like, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Like, it's hard to blame Mac Jones if the 49ers suck. But let's talk about, go ahead.
I think it's almost like the safe pick to take Mac Jones.
It's just weird that they traded up to take the safe
pick.
pick. Like, that's not something you usually do. Let's talk about these new mock drafts, though. Mel Kiper 4.0 mock draft came out. And let's talk about the top 10. Number 1 and 2, like I said, obvious, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson. You can set that in stone. Number 3, he does have Mac Jones going number 3, which that also is starting to kind of seem like it's going to be set in stone. And then after 3, it gets really weird because the Atlanta Falcons have come out and said that they're open to trading pick 4. And I feel like they're going to trade pick 4. Let's talk about that actually for a second. If you're the Falcons, do you capitalize off of we have this 4th pick where there's 2 good quarterbacks that'll probably go in the top 10 left at pick 4. You can trade down with a team and get more draft capital and stick with Matt Ryan. Or do you say, let's maybe draft a guy, let him sit behind Matt Ryan for a year, and then get rid of Matt Ryan and go with the new quarterback?
I'm a big fan of drafting a quarterback and letting him sit behind a vet for a year. I love the idea of drafting, if Trey Lance or Justin Fields is there, I don't see why you don't take Trey Lance at 4 if you're the Falcons. Just because, like you said, you sit behind Matt Ryan for a year, you learn from him, you see him. Matt Ryan's also a big arm guy.
Yeah.
He got a huge arm.
And the Falcons are a very pass-heavy offense as well.
And I think it makes a lot of sense to kind of let him and Julio Jones kind of ride it out. Julio Jones is getting up there. He's no longer a young guy. So I think it's almost time to start that rebuild, and the start of that could be getting this Trey Lance quarterback. I don't think you're in win now mode if you're the Falcons.
Yeah, I definitely don't think so either. But at the same time, you could go get a guy like Kyle Pitts at pick 4. That it would be just another excellent piece to your offense. I honestly, if I was the Falcons, I would probably trade down, and let another guy draft a quarterback. Maybe you trade down with a team like Denver. You're at pick 9 where there might still be a quarterback there that you want to take. If not, you can wait. Because Matt Ryan definitely still does, if they decide to stick with Matt Ryan, he's got definitely at least like 3 years left where he could be their starter. And yeah, they don't have to be, he's not going to take them to a Super Bowl or nothing, but I don't know. It's definitely an interesting with them. But in Mel Kiper's mock, really weird. He has the Miami Dolphins, who went from 3 to 12 to 6, trading back from 6 to 4 now. Trading up from pick 6 with Atlanta to pick 4 to draft Kyle Pitts at pick 4. He thinks that Kyle Pitts will be drafted by Cincinnati at pick 5 if he doesn't go at number 4, and
the Dolphins need to get in front of Cincinnati.
And exactly. So that's kind of what Mel Kiper's logic was. He was on First Take today talking about it. So he has Miami trading once again in the draft to draft Kyle Pitts at 4. Pick 5 is Penei Sewell to the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that probably is pretty set in stone. Like I would be pretty shocked if they drafted Jamar Chase
unless Pitts falls.
Yeah, unless Pitts falls. But like even then, like I would still probably rather go with Penei Sewell.
Me too.
Like it's just
I want a lineman.
It's like I saw a TikTok the other day. It was like you can't drive a car without insurance or something.
Yeah,
talking about Joe Burrow. Like yeah, it's nice to have a fancy looking car, but if you crash it, you're screwed. And then pick 6 is Atlanta, and they have Atlanta drafting. He has Atlanta drafting Trey Lance at 6, which is really. I mean, if you're Atlanta and you can trade down and still get a quarterback,
do it.
That's ideal, but that's the thing. I don't understand why Miami would trade up because, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's weird. I don't know how I feel about that. And then pick 7 is the Detroit Lions taking Jamar Chase. Pick 8 is the Carolina Panthers drafting Devontae Smith. That is kind of the Panthers were a team that was drafting a quarterback before the Darnold trade. And in both of these mocks that I have written down here, they go wide receiver. So place another wide receiver next to DJ Moore. You know, they lost Curtis Samuel, but they have Robbie Anderson too.
I love that move, in all honesty. I love the idea
McCaffrey too, obviously.
Yeah, Sam Darnold now has a system. The thing is, I don't feel like it's fair to judge Sam Darnold if he still doesn't have a system. But if you draft a third wide receiver to pair next to DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, and I'm going to consider C-Mac a wide receiver because he lines up in the slot half the time, but not half, but sometimes. That's a great offense. At that point, then we can really see how good Sam Darnold is at that point.
I'm excited to see how Darnold does this year just because he's in a better situation than he has been in his first few years in the NFL. Pick 9 is Denver drafting Micah Parsons. And then pick 10 is the New England Patriots trading up to with the Dallas Cowboys to draft Justin Fields with the 10th pick. That is another common thing in these new mocks is the Patriots trading up to draft a quarterback.
I saw one today that was Trey Lance trading up to get Trey Lance.
Yeah, that's the other one I was about to talk about. So we'll do that one, and then we'll kind of discuss. This is CBS Sports mock draft that they came out this morning. Trevor Lawrence at 1, Zach Wilson at 2, Mac Jones at 3, and then at pick 4, the New England Patriots trade up with the Atlanta Falcons to draft Trey Lance at 4. Pick 5, Penei Sewell to the Bengals. Pick 6, Kyle Pitts to the Miami Dolphins, which I think you could probably just stay at 6 and probably get Pitts if you're Miami. And if you don't get Pitts, that's fine. You kind of already have Mike Gesicki, a young tight end anyways. You just get Jamar Chase. Pick 7 is the Denver Broncos trading up from 9 to 7 with the Detroit Lions to draft Justin Fields, which I don't really understand because pick 8 is Jamar Chase, and then the Lions are at pick 9, and they draft Jalen Waddle at 9. Why would Denver trade up 2 spots to get Justin Fields? Like, the Lions aren't going to take Justin Fields.
Nobody in front of them
Carolina's not going to take. Yeah, I don't. That one kind of confused me a little bit. And then pick 10 is Patrick Surtain. So there's somebody missing in here. Oh, Devontae Smith didn't go on the top 10 in this one. But
so if the Patriots trade to number 4 with the Falcons, where do the Falcons go?
Falcons go to 15.
Holy moly.
But they would probably get much more than if, going from 4 to 6 like they did in Mel Kiper's mock. Yeah, they'd go to, Patriots have 15. So they'd probably get a second this year, maybe a first or second next year, and that's probably what they would get. But still,
that's a lot. That's a lot to give up, especially if you're the Patriots. But in that article, in that same draft, I was reading it again, and it said Bill Belichick's pretty high on Trey Lance and seems to really like him.
That's cool.
So, and I think it's
that was one thing I wanted to talk about. What team? Let's say that Atlanta plans on trading down from 4 to a team that wants a quarterback. By a team that wants a quarterback, I'm pretty sure it's going to be between Patriots and Denver. Those two teams are. Denver is at 9, so they could probably have one of the QBs fall to them. But what team do you think is more likely to trade up to get a quarterback?
Oh, I think the Patriots. I think the Broncos are much more likely to just kind of stay where they're at, and I think the Patriots are much more likely to go up and really try to get a guy and make the move to stay a winner at this point. They're just trying to keep their head afloat. Denver hasn't been very good in a couple of years. There's no reason for them to rush to try and get a quarterback.
I think New England too, like like we were talking about earlier, you don't have to start whoever you draft if you trade up to draft someone. I think you let Cam Newton have one more year, see how he does, and obviously if he does good, then you can trade him for something that maybe because no one wanted Cam Newton, and if he has a good season, you could possibly look to trade him to a team that would like a guy like Cam Newton. Trey Lance would, I think, be perfect to learn from Cam Newton. Justin Fields would be pretty nice too, but Trey Lance is very similar to Cam Newton, and I think it would be super interesting to see how he mentors him, I guess.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed when I was watching the pro day, just looking at their actual body types. Trey Lance even has he has the big, bulky body. He's not a wiry quarterback by any means. He looks unathletic. He's a big dude.
Oh yeah.
He looks a lot like Cam Newton in body shape, size, and build. So I think, like you said, it's a perfect guy to learn from.
Yeah.
Who's been doing it for years and won an MVP doing it.
I'm super excited for the NFL draft. It's coming up really soon. I'm really excited to see what the Lions are going to do. I'm fine with any of the 3 wide receivers. I've kind of come to a conclusion of that. My preference, I want Jamar Chase first, and then after that, I really don't. I thought I wanted Waddle over Devontae Smith, but I really don't care, honestly. I really don't. Like, if it's any of those 3, I'm fine with.
Yeah.
And honestly, I kind of wouldn't. My number one preferred thing would just be them trading down. Again, getting more draft assets, and maybe you trade out of the top 10, which I wouldn't mind. Like, if you end up doing that trade with Denver, where Denver trades up and you trade down to 9 and still get Waddle, that would be nice. Yeah. I just don't see that ever happening.
Yeah. If the Lions can trade down and somehow get Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, and obviously they're not going to get Jamar Chase, but one of those 2 dudes while trading down,
I think they could.
That's a perfect draft.
Because I feel like the 3 wide receivers won't all go in the top 10 just because of the surgence of Kyle Pitts. Like, he pretty much is the 4th wide receiver. So I feel like 2 of them will probably go top 10. Probably, Jamar Chase will for sure go top 10. And then I don't know if it's going to be Waddle or Smith. I don't see all 3 of them going in the top 10, though. So it would be nice for the Lions to trade down and possibly still get one of them. If not, you could maybe get Micah Parsons or just a defensive player in general. Are we ready to move on, though, from NFL talk?
Yeah.
So, college basketball free agency is going on still. Transfer portal news. Let's talk about it. The big thing, at least for us, Thomas Kithier has entered the transfer portal for Michigan State, something that was not expected, but he was just one of the rumored players that was going to leave Michigan State because Michigan State has to, make up a couple spots. With Kithier leaving, we do have a free open spot now, so whether that is, I'm not going to, Amani Bates, I don't think it's going to be, but, it's just a possibility. I don't think Tom Izzo and Michigan State staff, though, is going to wait and see what Amani Bates' decision is, especially with an open roster spot now. Like, I think they definitely are going to try to go get another transfer player. But yeah, it's big news though for Michigan State, because it's an open spot.
I think it's huge, and also, I really don't think Thomas Kithier belonged in like the Big Ten and in Sparty. He felt like an outsider when I watched this year. Joey Hauser didn't most of the time, but I don't know what your opinion on Kithier was. You obviously watched a lot more games than I did. But he just didn't really feel like a state player whenever he was on the floor to me.
I didn't mind Kithier. He was definitely like one of the most hard-working players like that we've had. He was probably the most like scrappiest player on our team. Like, he really was. He was a pretty decent rebounder for his size at like 6'9". Isn't the strongest guy on the court, but would always guard the bigs. He was decent on defense, but like offensively, he didn't do much. But I didn't mind Kithier. Like, I liked him more than Foster Loyer, but like I was fine with him leaving. I preferred all the other bigs over Kithier. I prefer Marble, Bingham, Sissoko over him. So,
this is huge.
It is huge though for Michigan State, just because I would like if we go out and get a transfer, and the most definitely the most ideal situation would be we go out and get a transfer and then somebody else leaves. Foster Loyer transfers out, and which I don't think will happen just because him and Izzo are really close, and I expect him to be back for his senior year. Do you know Kithier is a grad transfer though? He's graduating from Michigan State this May.
Oh, really?
Yeah, next month. In 3 years,
that's super cool.
Really crazy. He had like 3.7 GPA, like super smart dude. Graduating from 3 years from Michigan State is very impressive. So
yeah, that means he gets to transfer and just play basketball. Yeah.
So shout out to Thomas Kithier for doing a solid, I guess, for Michigan State. Yeah. It sounds bad, but for being a good player for us the last 3 years. But let's talk about some guys who entered the transfer portal. First, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, Daryl Morcell from Maryland. He entered the transfer portal. Pretty surprising because Maryland has they're bringing back pretty much all of their guys, and they have a couple guys coming in. I think they already got a transfer or two. So that one was kind of surprising. I'm not a Maryland fan, so I don't know everything about Morcell and everything. But
it's just crazy to me that somebody to win an award, who won an award like that, would leave the team that he was on.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, like, just a crazy thing. Let's say Matty Sissoko goes out or Marble goes out and wins D-Point next year, and then just leaves after winning.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be so weird.
It would be really weird, yeah. And Maryland, I really think, had a chance at being one of the top half Big Ten team this year. They definitely easily still could. I mean, it's not like losing him is everything, but
it's a pretty big part.
Yeah. Indiana landed a transfer. I didn't write down his name, but Indiana is definitely going to be a top half Big Ten team this year. Christian Lander was a guy who entered the transfer portal and came back. You know, he entered the transfer portal before Archie Miller got fired, and then they bring in Mike Woodson, and he comes back to Indiana. So, I mean, you can enter the portal and still go back to the school that you were leaving. But
if nobody wants you or none of the other options look good.
Purdue also just got another transfer, too. Purdue is going to be very good next year. There's a good chance that they'll be the best team in the Big Ten. Then talking about non-Big Ten transfers, Devin Askew, freshman point guard from Kentucky, transfers to Texas. Texas going to be good next year.
Very
good. Chris
good.
Beard, Texas Tech. I mean, Texas Tech is going to suck, by the way. Mac McClung is transferring again for, you know.
Is he going to Texas?
No, but he just is leaving Texas Tech. They lost their other, I forget who their other really good guard was, but he's entered the portal too. Texas Tech is going to be pretty bad. And then Boogie Ellis from Memphis transfers to USC. So Memphis loses another former 5-star player. I mean, the transfer portal, like we've been talking about it. Bryce Thompson entered from Kansas as well. I honestly don't mind it that much. I don't think it's too big of an issue, but it's whatever.
I don't know. I think for me it won't be an issue until I start losing to teams that are built from transfers. Like that'll really bug me if we go out and lose to Texas this year and Devin Askew drops 35. Like that'll seriously bug me. But it also, I've seen it benefit my team.
And I don't think I honestly don't think there's as many transfers this year as there was last year. I think last year there was more transfers, but there's just more bigger name players transferring this year, which is, I mean, I don't know. It's a lot of guys that really were supposed to be super good and weren't that are leaving. So, like, I don't have very high I don't think Devin Askew is going to go to Texas and just become, like, the best guard in college basketball. Yeah, he definitely is probably going to have a good year, but I don't expect him to, like, win player of the year or anything, you know, crazy. So
he could be like JQ, Javon Quinterly.
Yeah, exactly. Six-man for Bama was pretty good for them in the tournament especially. Yeah, that's something he could easily be. There's somebody else, too, that I didn't write down that I forgot that I was going to talk about. I don't remember, though. But a lot of guys are transferring out of the Big Ten. You know, Liam Robbins left Minnesota. Obviously, Marcus Carr has yet to choose anywhere. Rocket Watts still is not transferred anywhere. Same with Adam Miller.
I saw something about Marcus Carr transferring, and I feel like it said he was going to Duke. Like, it was like a crystal ball thing. Or maybe it was a Duke fan in the comments.
It would be. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he went to Duke.
Yeah, we're getting that guard from Minnesota who's lights out. They didn't even know his name. Just that guard from Minnesota.
I wonder. I mean, Duke has the potential to be really good next year because Matthew Hurt still has yet to declare for the NBA draft, and if he comes back, he's gonna be really good. Like he's probably gonna be a National Player of the Year candidate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're a lot of their guys aren't. I don't think DJ Stewart going to the draft. I really don't know. I know Jeremy Roach isn't going to the draft for them, and they're bringing in Paulo Banchero. Or wait, no, he's in the other class. Who are they bringing in? No, is Banchero in this year's class?
Banchero's a senior, right?
Yeah, he's in this year's class. They're bringing in Banchero. They just got that Trevor Keels guy, shooting guard, 5-star, and then Patrick Baldwin is still yet to commit anywhere, and he's probably going to go to Duke. So
that gives them a pretty good roster next year if Matthew Hurt comes back and they get Marcus Carr. That's a very good roster. If
Marcus Carr goes to Duke, that would be crazy. I could see Marcus Carr going to like Kentucky or something, like a big school. Yeah, definitely.
Or even a big name coach like a Memphis. I know. Yeah. Everybody's transferring out of Memphis, but they still have Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, no, I could see that definitely. Yeah, but it's nice though. I mean, I definitely do see the issues with the transfer portal, but honestly, it's entertaining and it's nice to. It's like my favorite part of the NBA honestly is the offseason and the NFL. I love the offseason. I love trades and stuff, and this is kind of bringing that aspect to college basketball. I've always been a huge fan of recruiting of college basketball, and this is just another thing. This is just like recruiting, but just with current players. So it's really fun. I like it a lot.
I would just hate to be a coach. That's the only thing.
Yeah, it would be very stressful for sure.
Very stressful.
But yeah, I don't know what other guys that Michigan State is possibly going to try and go after, but I definitely expect them to be aggressive with I don't know what kind of player they're going to get. Probably like a 4, maybe a 3/4. I mean, if we go out and get a big man, I wouldn't mind that. I just don't really expect them to.
You might as well go get that Bryce guy from Kansas.
What guy? Oh, Bryce Thompson.
Might as well.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, he was in states like top 5 or 7 before he committed to Kansas. I doubt he'd come to Michigan State, and it would probably hurt the development of Max Christie a little bit, but.
Who knows?
Whatever. I mean, I don't care. We'll take him on for a year. Like, let him go to the draft. Why not? Is that pretty much it, though? Anything else you want to talk about college-wise?
No, we can get back. We can get into this.
All right.
Awards.
So, NBA talk. The topic today is we are going to predict the end of the season NBA awards. The NBA play-in tournament starts on, like, the 18th of May or something. Maybe the 19th of May. So, it's like in a little over a month is the end of the NBA season. So we are going to be predicting what the end-of-season awards are. That we're doing MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man, Most Improved, Coach of the Year, and then we are doing our All-NBA first, second, and third teams. Like I said, this is not saying that if the season ended right now, what are the awards? This is what we think they're going to be in a month from now at the end of the season. So how do we want to start this? Do we want to start with All-NBA teams or start with awards?
Start with All NBA teams.
Okay. Yeah, I really don't know. That's why I was asking.
We'll go NBA teams.
All right, so let's start with third team and go up from there. So give me your guards on your All NBA third team.
I will start this off right now. There is an extremely talented player left off this list.
No, the guards is really hard. Like the forwards, I don't think is as hard as the guards.
Me either. And I might have missed a forward, but like the guards, I have like a top 6 guard, maybe top 8 player in the whole league. Not in it, and you'll see.
Yeah, I have a few players that definitely deserve to make it that I miss.
At guard on my third team, I have CP3 and Steph Curry.
Okay.
So with that, Steph Curry first off is having MVP numbers year, not an MVP good team year. His team is awful. However, he is still Steph Curry, and he does kind of almost have to make it. But he has to make the playoffs, and I'm really thinking the Warriors are going to start making that push for the playoffs, even though James Wiseman just went down with the injury. It's just it's go time for the Warriors. They got to start going and rolling. And CP3 is there just for the pure fact that the Suns have to have somebody.
Yeah,
the Suns can't not have anybody, and it whether you have him or D-Book, it doesn't make a difference to me. But one of them has to be there.
Yeah, I completely agree. Chris Paul did not make my list, and it was just going to come between him and Booker.
Yep.
I went with Booker, but my All-NBA third-team guards are Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell are my third-team guards. Donovan Mitchell's a guy who, if his team was not the number 1 team in the West, he probably would not be on my All-NBA team, just because like he puts up great numbers and everything, but there's definitely better players that miss this cut that are better than Donovan Mitchell just because of the Utah Jazz being the best team in the NBA. He definitely deserves a spot. So, yeah, those are my guards. I went with Booker over CP3 simply because I really don't have a reason. I just went with Devin Booker just because he's never made an All-NBA team. Chris Paul's made plenty. Maybe they'll just give it to Booker over him. Forwards on the All-NBA third team.
This one, you can... I have Paul George and Zion Williamson. You might have considered Paul George a guard, but on Basketball Reference.
He's a forward,
yeah. Okay, so I've got Paul George and Zion. Zion putting great numbers again. George definitely has to be there. Clippers are the 3 seed right now. So those are my forwards on the third team.
Zion was a guy who I really wanted to put on my All-NBA teams, but his team is not in the playoffs, and I feel like I don't think I have a single player on here that their team is not a playoff team. I really like Zion. I think he definitely deserves it, is having a great year, but I did not include him. My All-NBA third team is Kevin Durant, a guy who I think would be much higher if he didn't miss a lot of games, but he came back from his injury, so I expect him to play the rest of the year and probably will for sure make an All-NBA team. And then I have Jason Tatum as the other forward on my All-NBA third team.
So I'll tell you right now, those 2 guys both didn't make the rest of my list. KD,
I mean, KD makes sense just because he's missed a lot of games, but the only reason I included him was because he's going to play for the next month, and he's going to be fresh in the voters' minds and everything, and it's going to be hard to not give him a spot with how great he did. And then Jason Tatum, I was gonna put it came down to Tatum and Zion for me, and I was kind of thinking about Julius Randle a little bit, but
it came down to Tatum and Zion for me.
But the Celtics have been playing a little better as of recently, and Tatum hit like a really nice ice cold step back dagger 3 last night, and I was like, yeah, Tatum deserves it over Zion.
That was the deciding factor.
So I went with Tatum over Zion.
And at my center position for my All-NBA third team, Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, I think it's pretty undisputable for the centers. Yeah,
I think the 3 centers, at whatever order you have them in, as long as Rudy Gobert's third,
yeah,
and the other 2, whatever you want.
Yeah, I have Rudy Gobert as my center as well. Best on the best team in the NBA, and there really isn't another center that might get this over him. Maybe Karl-Anthony Towns, like maybe.
I mean, Bam's missed a lot of time this year.
Yeah, like probably not Bam. He wasn't even an all-star, so like. Yeah, I got Gobert.
Second team guards, and again, you're gonna be like, huh? Like I left a big guy off this list. Second team guard, Donovan Mitchell and Luka Doncic.
Yeah. So, my second team guards does include Luka Doncic. I have him on my second team. A lot of articles I read had him as a first team All NBA player, but I mean the Mavericks they're definitely picking it up a little bit, but they're still not at the top of the conference, I guess. And then I have Steph Curry on my second team. I think Curry, even though his team is, the 8th seed or whatever, he is having a phenomenal year. And the fact is that his team is so bad without him. It's like Russell Westbrook MVP season, like his team is so poor without Steph Curry that shows how valuable he actually is. So I think we can both say that Kyrie Irving was left off of our list. Yeah, that was the main one that I left off, and I think it came down to, okay, 2 Nets players for me had to make it, and so I included Kevin Durant instead of, because I didn't want to not give it to Donovan Mitchell, And
that actually makes a lot of sense, putting KD in at that forward spot to open up a guard spot for Donovan Mitchell or a Suns player.
Because I think 2 Nets players definitely have, with their crazy big 3, 2 of them have to make it. If they were all to play, most of the season, I think that
all 3 of them.
All 3 are on the first 2 teams, so.
And that's just it. I agree. I think 2 Nets players have to make it, but I didn't figure out the way to make it work in my head. So,
yeah.
But leaving Kyrie Irving off was hard as a Kyrie Irving not fan. As a guy who's not a huge fan of Kyrie Irving, it was still like, because I still respect the guy. Like, I think he's a great basketball player. And so it was really hard for me to leave him off this list.
And it's just like, it's super difficult because, like I said, this isn't a month from now when we think. And with these guys coming back from injury, KD and Kyrie are going to be playing for the rest of the season. It's going to be really, I don't see a world where they both get left off. But then you look and it's like, how can you not have Donovan Mitchell and or Devin Booker on here, or at least a Suns player, because they're the 2 best teams in the West, So like, they definitely at least, maybe they end up not including Donovan Mitchell because Rudy Gobert is going to be an All-NBA player. So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Yeah, right? I agree that I do have 2 of them. So
they're that great.
But my second team guards are Steph Curry and Luka Doncic.
Yep. My second team forwards, Kawhi Leonard and Jimmy Butler at the forward position.
Interesting. Okay. My All-NBA second team forwards, I have Paul George as a second team player. He's having a really good last month or 2. Like his shooting percentages are crazy. I didn't write him down, but I was looking at him. He's shooting over 40% from 3. His true shooting percentage is the highest he's ever had in his career. And he's been dominating for them, and the Clippers are really good. And then my other second team forward is LeBron James. I did not put him on my first team just because of the 3 weeks that he's already missed, and he's expected to miss at least the next 2 weeks. Yeah, I think he'll be back by end of April. So he's going to miss over a month fully in time. If he didn't, there's still definitely a chance he could end up being a first-team player just because he is going to play the final few weeks of the season. But I have him just missing it. And I didn't include Jimmy Butler just because he wasn't an all-star this year, and I don't know. I just don't feel like he would make an All-NBA team if he wasn't an all-star, but who knows?
The thing with Jimmy Butler I had is kind of the same situation where we find ourselves with Steph Curry. The Miami Heat were really bad at the start of the year without him and Bam, and he kind of came back, and Miami Heat are on a roll now and playing a lot better.
I could see Jimmy definitely making one, maybe over like Jason Tatum for me or something. But
it's just through that second half. It's all about this last month.
Yeah.
If the Miami Heat ball out this last month, I don't see
I'm wondering who's not. Oh, you didn't have KD. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that does make sense. And then center for you?
At my center, might comes a surprise.
This is tough, yeah.
But I do have Jokic at my center. Just lost Jamal Murray. The Nuggets are probably going to fall in the standings. His numbers won't look any worse, but the team will be worse, I think. like I said, I'm no NBA analyst. I try, but I think the Nuggets will be worse because they just lost an all-star caliber point guard. Mm-hmm. So that's why I have him dropping to the
I completely understand that. I don't have Jokic, so I have Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has missed a decent amount of time this season with an injury, and yeah, he still is in MVP talks. I don't think he will win the MVP just because of the missed time, but he could. If Philly ends up, they've lost the 1 seed in the East, so they're not the 1 seed anymore. Sixers Nets do play tonight, though, so that's going to be a really good game. But I have Joel Embiid on my second team.
First team All NBA. These are the big dogs. If you make any of these 3 and All NBA teams, you're a stud in the league.
You're a top 6 player at your position.
It's crazy.
Not even at your position, just at your spot, I guess.
At the guards, I have Damian Lillard and James Harden at my guard spots.
I also have James Harden and Damian Lillard. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty undisputable with James Harden. With Dame Lillard, you can argue maybe Luka over Dame, or maybe Steph Curry over Dame, but I think Dame for sure will end up getting first team, especially with Portland kind of getting healthy again, and their team is going to continue to roll.
I saw a stat today about Damian Lillard and the Lakers, and it was about how, everybody assumed Trailblazers to start closing the gap between them and the Lakers throughout the injuries that the Lakers have had. Since losing LeBron and AD, the Lakers are 6-7. Mm-hmm. Portland is also 6-7.
I seen that. Yeah, the Portland they were the other day. I mean,
haven't closed the gap at all.
When we were, because obviously, I mean, I was gonna say on our last episode, but no one got to hear that. But yeah, they were 30-21, and I'm pretty sure right now they're 31-23 or something, or maybe 31-22. So like,
they haven't gained any ground.
Yeah, they play the Pistons tonight though. Or wait, no, the Clippers play the Pistons tonight. So
lucky Clippers. Good luck.
Paul George had that nasty dunk on Isaiah Stewart.
Oh my word, ooh. That was disgusting. At my forwards, I have Giannis and LeBron.
My forwards,
I don't have anything to say about those.
My forwards, Giannis for sure, and then I have Kawhi Leonard over LeBron, just because of the LeBron injury. Kawhi Leonard hasn't missed much time this year, and LeBron missed a pretty good amount of time, and especially in a shortened season too. Do I expect if LeBron ends up getting first team over Kawhi, I definitely won't be shocked. He probably does deserve it, but Kawhi's team is better in the standings. He's got similar stats, and he's played more games. I'm taking Kawhi over Giannis.
And I don't disagree with that. Kawhi over LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have any disagreements with that, because like you said, he's played more games that are better in the standings.
Yeah.
How can you really argue with that? At my 5, I have Joel Embiid.
And at my 5, I have clearly Isaiah Stewart.
On my paper, Isaiah Stewart, I didn't recognize what he did.
No, I have Jokic as my 5, guy who deserved to get it last year and didn't, so I think he'll get it this year. Snubs from these All-NBA teams, Kyrie, who were some Anthony Davis, obviously, but I mean, because of injury. Chris Paul for me was a snub. Zion, I'm trying to Jimmy Butler, I guess, would have been a snub. I'm trying to think if there's any other. Bradley Beal is definitely a snub, but I mean, the Wizards are absolutely god awful. He made the All-Star game. That's good enough.
And it was almost like, at this point, it's almost like if you keep giving him awards, it's like pity awards.
Yeah, it's just making up for last year.
Yeah, exactly. My honorable mention, the big one, Kyrie Irving, I've got it boxed in. Tatum's a big one that I don't have. KD injury, AD injury. But imagine if those dudes are healthy. Imagine how much harder this list becomes.
Yeah, I know. That's how it is every year. I mean,
like,
it's just
it would be awful.
Yeah, I mean, injuries are a horrible thing, but they're sometimes a blessing in disguise. As long as everyone's healthy come playoff time,
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Yep. Championships aren't won in December.
Yep. So let's talk about our regular season awards now. Let's start off with from least significant to most significant. Not taking anything away from the winners of these awards, but let's start with Coach of the Year.
Coach of the Year, I've got Quinn Snyder. Nobody really expected the Jazz to be that great this year. They brought back the exact same cast they had last year, except for they had Jordan Clarkson, or was Jordan Clarkson there last year?
He was on their team last year too, yeah.
Yep. So there wasn't a difference in
Derek
the team.
Favors, that's pretty much it.
So this team really is the exact same, except they are leagues better. And I think that a lot of that is growth and coaching. I'm going to go with Quinn Snyder there.
Yeah, I'm going with Quinn Snyder as well. There's a lot of, there's argument for teams that are just like overperformed this year, like the Phoenix Suns, Monty Williams, Tom Thibodeau, the New York Knicks, Borrego from the Hornets. But I think it's undisputably Quinn Snyder. They're the best team in the NBA. Quinn Snyder has not won a Coach of the Year award. Usually it goes to a new guy every year. They usually don't give it to, you don't see many guys win multiple Coach of the Year awards. So I think Quinn Snyder will for sure win this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's
I think
go
that's an award they like to just hand out. Not to like give everybody one, but like trying to get somebody new in the
just
mix
give
every
recognition.
year.
Yeah,
because nobody would be interested in it if Greg Popovich got it 7 years in a row.
Let's go to Sixth Man of the Year.
Sixth Man of the Year, it's Jordan Clarkson.
One.
Obvious. There is no question. He is a bucket off the bench, and he is just Lou Williams prime Lou Williams. He's the same guy. Him and Jordan Clarkson are exactly the same.
I got Clarkson as well. I wanted to get those two kind of out of the way because these other four, except for maybe one of them, are like the closest they've been in years. Like MVP voting is really going to be, I was reading some article today and it was just talking about how like the MVP award has not been within 100 votes or just a really close battle since Steve Nash won it over Kobe when Steve Nash got his second one years back. And then same with Rookie of the Year. Rookie of the Year has not been close since like 2003. Ever since then, it's really kind of been actually, no, Donovan Mitchell, Ben Simmons was a close one. So, but yeah, let's move on to Most Improved Player.
Most Improved Player, I think there are only two guys that I even consider for this award, and that's Julius Randle and Jeremy Grant. I am giving the edge to Julius Randle. He's on the Knicks. They're a playoff team right now and way overperforming of what their expectations were. So I'm going with Julius Randle for Most Improved.
Yeah, same thing you said. I got Randle. I usually would take the biased approach here and go with Jeremy Grant. But yeah, like you said, it's the fact that maybe if the Knicks were supposed to be good and Randle just had a blow up year out of nowhere. But, I mean, the Knicks were supposed to be, like, a really bad team. Like, it was them and the Pistons were supposed to fight for the worst team in the East. I think I had them as the second worst team in the East at the beginning of this year.
I had to have had them low.
Yeah, I think I had them as number 14 in the East. So, like, the Knicks are overperforming. They're 8th in the East, above 500 right now. Julius Randle's averaging 23, almost 11 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting 40% from 3 on 5 attempts a night. Like, really has stepped up his game this year, and he's easily the best player on their team. I'm going with Julius Randle as well. And that was the one that I said maybe this one isn't as close, but the other four I think are all really close.
You want to go D-Poy next or Rookie of the Year?
Let's go D-Poy.
D-Poy, Defensive Player of the Year. I'm giving it to the guy who's already got 2 under his belt. I think Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, I think he has 2.
Best team in the league. He's still the best defensive center in the league. So I'm giving it to Rudy Gobert. Ben Simmons is an argument.
Yeah.
He's been making
it's
serious
definitely
case.
between them two, yeah. It's just because, Ben Simmons he's
versatile.
Way more versatile than Gobert. Gobert is an elite rim protector, and the Jazz, run their defense through him, but Ben Simmons just is a do-it-all defender. He is I will guard 1 through 5. It doesn't matter who it is. He is guarding the other team's best player no matter what, no matter if they are a center or a point guard. So it's, and you see games where, Ben Simmons, he wants to win Defensive Player of the Year. You said the other day that when they were talking about Defensive Player of the Year discussion between him and Gobert, Ben Simmons said, I dropped 40-something on Gobert in Utah. How am I not the Defensive Player of the Year? I like the attitude. I did go with Rudy Gobert, though, just because of, they're the best team in the league. But, I mean, Philly is a top 4 team in the league. So I'm going with Rudy Gobert, but it's going to be a close battle.
Rookie of the Year next. Rookie of the Year is tough because I really think it's tough. It's between 3 guys, and I'm going to name those guys off right now. And you can, if you think there's another guy in there, toss him in. But I think it's between LaMelo Ball, still getting it, even through his injury, Tyrese Halliburton, Sacramento Kings, or Anthony Edwards in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I gave the edge to Tyrese Halliburton just because he's been doing it all year. He's been good. When I look at Anthony Edwards, I look at the same kind of Trae Young-ish idea where he had a great back half of the year, and that might stick through in the voters' eyes, but I really think Tyrese for having the full year. The same way, I was the same way with Luka and Trae Young with the argument. I gave it to Luka because I thought Luka, he played well the whole year. He didn't take him a half year to get adjusted. Yeah. However, if LaMelo Ball is healthy, he runs away with the award. It's the only reason I didn't give it to him is because I assume Reese will start passing him in some of those numbers.
Mm-hmm. It's tough because like you said, Tyrese Halliburton has been consistent all year. Anthony Edwards he's the leading points per game player now by rookies. Has stepped up. His team is still really bad, and that is kind of the part where I took into consideration the Timberwolves are the worst team in the NBA. The Kings are a top 5 or 6 worst team in the NBA, whereas the Charlotte Hornets are
damn good.
The 4 or 5 seed in the East, above 500, and their best player has honestly probably been LaMelo Ball all year. It's between LaMelo Ball or Gordon Hayward, whatever you say. LaMelo Ball is in the consideration for that. So for that reason, I went with LaMelo Ball. I don't know what the voters, are going to go with, is because obviously his injury, and there is rumor of him coming back. I think if he does come back at all, if he plays a single regular season game, he will win. But it would be nice to see him come back, because playing the playoffs as a rookie, that'd be excellent. So that's why I went with LaMelo Ball, because he was a leader of his team. I think unlike the other 2 players, he was one of the best players, if not the best player on his team, and also they were very good. They were a top 5 seed in the East, so that's why I went with LaMelo Ball.
So some news that I saw kind of fly under the radar that I didn't really know about. Did you know Gordon Hayward's out for the rest of the year?
Really?
Yeah, he's done for the regular season.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I saw a tweet and I was like, huh? Like, this isn't huge
injury?
News. I don't know. I think it was an injury. They said he's going to miss the rest of the year. And I don't know whether that means into playoffs, but they said he's missing the rest of the year.
That's so weird. I'm going to see if I can look it up real quick. I don't know if it'll be able to go through, but
which is
so weird.
Huge for the Hornets, because without Gordon Hayward and LaMelo Ball, they probably slide, especially with how tight that Eastern Conference is. They probably slide right down to a play-in game, maybe.
Yeah, Gordon Hayward sidelined at least 4 weeks with right foot sprain. That was on April 4th. So he could come back, but...
that was a couple days ago. We hadn't heard a word about it.
Yeah.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, that's over a week ago. It was 10 days ago.
Isn't that weird?
That is really weird.
But they've probably started sliding here pretty quick. Because without Gordon Hayward, whether you like it or not, Gordon Hayward rejuvenated his career. Had a really solid year this year for Charlotte, and really showed that he still belongs in the league. And he still needs to be making money. Not as much as he's getting, but he still needs to be making money.
MVP. This is going to be MVP race is going to be so close. There's like 5 guys you could choose it between. Who are you going with?
So, according to my All-NBA teams, I can't have Jokic. Jokic made second team All-NBA for me. So, with that case, it's really between me, Embiid and Dame. And at that point, I'm taking the guy with the better record. And the Portland Trailblazers haven't been playing that great recently. 6-7 in their last 13. Isn't that good? Yes, Philadelphia did slide to the 2 seed. They don't run the East anymore. However, I'm still going to give it to Joel Embiid and say he's going to be the MVP this year.
That's interesting because, I can't give it to Joel Embiid. I had him as a second team player. I feel like if it did come down between like Joel Embiid and Harden for me, I'd probably go with Harden. But it is, it's weird because Harden is part of such this dominant team with so many great players, this big 3, where Sixers is like, Joel Embiid is the really only dominant offensive player for them, is scoring-wise and everything. So, Embiid, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up winning it, especially if he, plays as well as he did before his injury for the rest of the season. But for me, the MVP, this is really hard. It comes down to between Harden, Lillard, Giannis, Kawhi, and Jokic. Kawhi won't win it. Giannis, I obviously didn't give it to Giannis, but he really could win it.
He's good enough.
He might as he probably should win it almost.
So if there was ever a time to do a three-peat of MVPs, it was this year.
Yeah.
It was so wide open.
Probably, yeah.
Anybody can win it still at this moment with a month left in the season. And he just didn't ball out as much as he needed to.
Dame Lillard, I didn't go with Dame, even though I picked him at the beginning of the year. And they have it, he has a month to really continue to ball out and his team to continue to get better. So I'm not counting him out. But I decided to go with Nikola Jokic for MVP. He's averaging 26, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, 56.5% from the field, and 42% from 3, averaging a steal and a half as well. And the reason I went with him is because I honestly feel like this Jamal Murray injury is going to, make Jokic take it to the next level. And I know that Denver, there's no way they're going to, fall off in the standings with Jamal Murray out. Obviously losing Jamal Murray is huge, and it's not it's definitely gonna hurt them in the playoffs. But for this next month of the regular season, I don't think it's gonna be too much of an issue. Monte Morris is a guy who usually already starts at the shooting guard anyways, so I think he'll do just a fine job. They're 34-20 right now, 4th in the West. I think they'll be able to hold their own as a top 4 seed in the West. And if Jokic, I think his numbers are even going to elevate even more. I'm going to go with Jokic for MVP.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about that. That's a great take because Monte Morris is a guy who's shown he can step up and score a lot of buckets for you. And even in like that, they have a young guy in MPJ sitting there who...
Exactly. I think he's going to step up a bunch.
He was already complaining about not getting the ball enough.
Yeah.
So he might as well start getting it more.
Yeah.
You don't have an opportunity. You better step up and take it. And I'm excited to watch these Nuggets play. However, I do see them falling a little more than you do.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I don't think they're going to fall. Like I said,
yeah, they're going to make playoffs.
It's going to hurt them in the playoffs, but I just don't think for this next month of the regular season, like they're not going to fall out of the playoffs or nothing.
Absolutely.
So
I completely agree.
Yeah. That's my awards.
Yeah, and that was it was funny because the MVP race for me was between Jokic and Embiid, and that decided also who I put on first team and second team.
I think it's for me, my top 3 is like Jokic, Harden, Embiid. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably how I would rank them, which it sucks Embiid not going to even, or whichever one, whether it's Embiid or Jokic, is not even going to be a first team All-NBA player.
If they deserve to be. They've been all NBA players all year.
And like if LeBron never got hurt, there was definitely a good chance of him winning the MVP. Steph Curry's team was a little better. He would probably win MVP. It's especially like this sounds really dumb, but if Klay Thompson, it never got hurt and he's playing all year, Curry's probably for sure winning MVP again. So I don't know. It's interesting, but that pretty much wraps everything up for this episode. Thank you for listening. Hopefully you get to listen to this one.
Hopefully you did.
Saturday, we will have our 4th Jeopardy episode. Easton will be hosting. I will be on as a contestant with Willie back, and Barry Hill is going to be on for the first time. So that's super exciting. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So check this out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And bye.
Peace.